Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fantastic episode of For the Fans podcast. And I'm just going to kick it off and say, week one was insane this year.
The only reason we're gonna have a fantastic episode, Shane, is because of how crazy week one was having. If week one was boring, we might have been like, okay, what is there to talk about? But literally nothing. Like almost every single game, there was always something crazy that
I
happened.
mean, you and me were even talking about, I believe, in last episode, where we're like, oh, we really hope the Chiefs and Lions game isn't boring like last year with the Bills and the Rams, and that game did not disappoint.
Well, yeah, I think especially all the primetime games, I think there was something exciting about them, almost in every sense. Now, I don't want to go too far in saying that because I'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
honest, Sunday night football was super boring, but obviously there were some surprises that came out of that. But outside of that, we've had a lot of like major games that were on national television that had some exciting element to it that we're happy to talk about. But the biggest thing is with this with for the fans here with our season 5, we're going to be doing things a little bit different here, and I think we even mentioned this at the conclusion of our last season. We're kind of changing up how we do the wows and the woes. We don't really necessarily want to go through all the major matchups. What Shane and I have decided to do is we've decided to start picking the the games that we found to be the most interesting, that we have the most to talk about. And really, we're only going to go through 4 games, and then we're going to kind of talk about teams that are trending up and trending down before we jump into our matchups and later our For the Fun. We want to make sure we do this in order to leave enough time for the Fun, because that's where we always seem to have the most laughs, but it always kind of gets pushed to the end, and we can't get the best out of it. So, Shane, I think I've covered everything with that. So, really, we just need to jump into the injury report before we go into our wows and woes, huh?
Yep, and the first thing on the injury report, which if you haven't heard of,
A
you've been living
surprise.
under a rock or you don't pay attention to the football.
Man, my mom doesn't even pay attention to football, and she knew about it.
For those who
She
don't
called
know,
me. She was like, she literally called me, and she was like, "Yo, did you see what happened to Aaron Rodgers?"
yeah, did you see the video where it like shows it happening?
Oh, his heel, it almost looks like it just bursts, and his calf all
Oh,
ripples and everything like
oh,
that.
yeah.
And the thing is I saw that before they officially announced, like, because for a while there they were just saying it was an ankle injury, and I said, well, how bad is this? I was driving home, from spending the weekend with my parents, and I was like, well, how bad is this? And I have my wife next to me watch it because she's just intrigued as I am too, obviously because she's going up against Aaron Rodgers in fantasy. Um,
Saved her
she
bacon.
and she looks at it. She looks at it and she's like, "Oh, that doesn't look good." And then she shows it to me when we kind of got to a stopping point, and we watched it. And I was like, I said to her, I said, "Emily, that looks like a torn Achilles." I mean, like I'm no like sports expert, but to me that looks like a torn Achilles. It's the same way when you see a basketball player come down on their knee weird. You look at it and you're like, "Well, that's a torn ligament."
Yeah, and with that, he is officially out for the season. And I think I only have like one regard, but I think we'll talk about it later. So gonna skip over that. But Zach Wilson came in and got the job done. So who
Enough to
would
get
have
the win.
who would have thought that the Bills would lose to the Jets on Monday Night Football?
Well, that's one thing that we're going to go over in our wows and our
Yes, it
woes because it
is.
was rather surprising. Here's the one thing I am going to say about this, Shane, though, and this is coming from me, a Bears fan. Aaron Rodgers owns my sorry franchise.
Now Jordan Love
Um,
does too.
yeah, right. They're
Do you know
co-owners.
how many memes I have not sent you because it's like, oh, the Bears have a new owner, and I'm just like, man, I can't be this mean this early on in the season.
Ah, you could have. I'm already accepting of it. I've had
Oh,
so many people after that game, friends, brother-in-laws, cousins, who are like, "Yo, you good, dude?" Because
well,
that
I
was
mean,
just awful. That was so
I
hard to
even
watch.
like the Bears. I was like, this is hurting me a little bit how bad this game
Oh my
was.
gosh. Yeah, so anyway, going back to what I was saying about Aaron Rodgers, like this is coming from me, Bears fan, hate the guy, but at the same time, I really do feel bad. I cannot believe. The NFL script writers really went crazy on this one because this. I did not see that coming. Literally, the fourth play of the game, very first drive, he's done for the whole season.
Well, did you hear even more of the story that was unveiled to us all?
Maybe. Let's hear it.
So he tried to tell the coaching staff and play calling is like, we cannot do cut blocks. I'm not that agile. We should not be doing cut blocks and passes and plays that have cut blocks in them because it's going to hinder us more. The exact play he got injured, the play call was a cut block and it got missed, and that's how he tore his Achilles.
Absolutely. Well, if I remember reading about it too, his blocker really didn't read the situation right. Kind of got tangled up, and you know, again talking about this, Leonard Floyd, who was the linebacker who sacked Rodgers when he tore his Achilles. Leonard Floyd was drafted by the Chicago Bears. So how about that for a little irony for you? But the honest
You
truth
got a
of it
pity
is he was.
win.
Yep, exactly. It's the one consolation I can take. But yeah, he was fooled in the approach for it, and that was the thing. Is that's Aaron Rodgers. He was just trying to keep the ball alive, keep the play alive, and tried to scramble. And he's not a scrambling quarterback. The guy's 39, and that's how it went.
Yeah, kind of like Geno Smith the other day with Aaron Donald chasing him down.
Oh my god! Oh man, that was so funny. That was so funny.
That
I
was
laughed so hard.
great, but I mean, I don't blame him. Aaron Donald went untouched in that and was charging straight for him.
We talked about that, my cousins and I, on a camping trip a little while ago. Like I think we were talking about like who would you feel like you have a better chance of surviving if you met them in a dark alleyway, and one of them was like a serial killer or a horror movie character or something like that, and the other guy was Aaron Donald, and like me and all my cousins were like, yeah, we'll take our chances with the horror movie character.
Yeah, Aaron Donald is fast and he is big.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
Oh man.
other people on the injury report. Austin Eckler has been reported as injured. He's not practicing, and he's questionable for the Week 2 matchup. All of my players are getting injured on fantasy, and it is horrible right now.
Yeah, I don't know what I want to think of that one yet. I think there's a possibility with that he could still suit up to play, but at the same time, I'm looking at it, and from what I've heard, it might just be he misses week 2.
Yeah.
The other one that's a little bit more serious is just like Aaron Rodgers, and that's J.K. Dobbins, the Ravens running back, who still just can't stay healthy, man. It's so sad. Tears his ACL, then tears his Achilles. It's like Klay Thompson in the NBA. But Dobbins tore his Achilles in the matchup against the Houston Texans, and he is out for the season as well. And not only that, a lot of other Ravens defenders are hurt as well. Not as seriously, but they're definitely going to be limited in their play, at least for the next few weeks.
Yep. Speaking of play, Chris Jones has signed a 1-year contract with the Chiefs, so this is gonna be
That's
fun.
right, I saw that. He ended his holdout.
He cannot be reinstated because they still need to clear about 2 to 3 million worth of money for him to be reinstated and be on the active roster and to play.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, to completely miss training camp. He only held out so he could miss training camp.
I mean, part of me is just like, oh, please don't let that man come back for this week's matchup. Please let him stay out for one more week.
Nope, you'll be okay.
Oh, because Kelsey should be coming back, and it's gonna be a little more scary because Patrick Mahomes will. Anyways.
Patrick Mahomes will actually have receivers. Oh, we'll get into that. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. That's why I didn't say anything because I was like, oh, that was bad.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there because now we're jumping into our wows and our woes, which is where we're going to discuss 4 matchups from the past week and determine what went well for winning teams and what could go better in the future for losing teams. So, Shane, let's kick it off with kind of the elephant in the room, the one you picked, which was our Monday Night Football matchup between the New York Jets and the Buffalo Bills. Supposed to be kind of a big momentous occasion. It's the New York Jets entering a new era. They're playing on the anniversary of September 11th and are hoping to basically commemorate that with a win, which they did, but not in the way that they wanted. Shane, take it away with some of the thoughts here.
Well, first things first, they won in overtime due to a punt return touchdown. That whole thing was messy, and there's a lot of speculation with what happened about tripping, no call, and all sorts of stuff. It was messy. We're just gonna move past that, and not even discuss that, because that can be a 30-minute discussion. I don't want to get into it.
Nope, I agree.
So first things first is that now the Jets invested a lot of money in Aaron Rodgers, who is out for the rest of the season. So the question that I have is, do they stick with Zach Wilson like they've been saying to reporters, or do they find a vet to take the reins in either free agency or through trade? Now, I know the head coach is like, oh, this is Zach Wilson's team, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I've heard that story before from multiple coaches, and it usually turns up to, oh, they do bad one week, we're immediately replacing them and trying to find someone else.
Absolutely, but part of the problem with that, Shane, is when we look at who else is technically available on the market, I'm not really sure if they're any better than, say, Zach Wilson. I mean, I'm going to try and find that where we were talking about that post that talked about some of those potential
Oh,
quarterbacks. I'm going to
it's
be
a
honest
bad
with
list.
you.
It's like Colin Kaepernick is like number 3. Number 1 is like
Carson Wentz,
Carson Wentz, Colt McCoy, Nick
Cam Newton,
Foles.
Matt Ryan, Ben DiNucci. Joe Flacco.
A lot of people
Okay.
that are either out the door of the NFL
Yeah.
or shouldn't even really be there.
Yeah.
Which is why I was
Bryce
like,
Perkins,
yeah,
Trevor Siemian. The only one that I'm like, okay, that could work at least for the time being because he knows the system is Joe Flacco, but Joe Flacco's old, man.
well, I mean, they were even saying like maybe they get Chad Henne because there's been talking about getting Chad Henne to come back as Zach Wilson's backup, have him
Oh,
quit his
maybe.
retirement, and he's used to Nathaniel Hackett's system when they played in Jacksonville. So,
Well, let's be honest too. There's conversation out there of even Tom Brady suiting up.
please no more Brady. Just stay retired. We don't
Well,
need you to be Brett Favre.
well, we know that's not going to happen anyway.
Yeah, because
If you
Rodgers is
read,
on his way to be Brett Favre.
oh yeah, right. The Tom Brady one. Let's just throw it out there right now. That's not going to happen, and there's two reasons why. I think there is a rule in the NFL bylaws that an owner can't necessarily suit up for another
Yep.
team. Remember that Brady does have ownership in the Raiders.
Yep.
I don't think he's going to be itching to suit up to play for the Jets. Not to mention, he was just honored by the divisional opponent of the Jets. Huge honor for the New England Patriots, and for him to be part of that. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Don't count on it. Don't
Which
hold
is
it.
why I think that they might try to just toy with the thought of possibly doing a trade to get a veteran quarterback to come in, not necessarily to replace Wilson, but to be there as insurance for when Wilson goes down.
And honestly, out of some of those potential options, I like Joe Flacco. Honestly, if they could get Mike White back,
Mike White would be good.
just saying, just saying.
Anyways, moving on from the Jets. Good job, you guys won, and I am shocked to say that you guys are like tied for the division lead, and you beat the Bills. And this week was messy. Like the top three teams are not really in first place for their division. All of them lost. So now we're gonna move on to the
Yeah.
Bills, and they lost to the Jets with the Jets backup quarterback. How does that happen to begin with?
Here's just the weirdness, and we're gonna go over it a little bit more with Week 1, Shane. But honestly, the feeling was with the Bills is once Aaron Rodgers went down, it was like, okay, the Bills have a clear path to taking the AFC overall here right from the get-go. They're in the driver's seat. They're number one overall because when you looked at the rest of the AFC, it was like, well, who do we go with? Because I mean, I mean, honestly, you've got the AFC South, where the only threat down there is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Heck
You
yeah.
and I have talked about this. No one else is a threat down in the AFC South. It's a weak division. The AFC West, the Chargers lose, the Chiefs lose, Broncos and Raiders don't look threatening. You go over to the AFC North, the Bengals lose, the Browns don't look threatening. Now do the Ravens, and the Steelers are stupid. So it looked like the Bills, once Aaron Rodgers was hurt and the Jets season was smashed, it was like, okay, Bills, maybe Dolphins. But no, they blow it. Josh Allen has 4 turnovers, and he's now 0-5 in overtime. He's never won a game that goes into overtime.
I did see that. That man hates overtime more than anybody.
So what could they have done differently? Because to me, it looks like the Madden curse is rearing its head. But the thing is, Shane, Josh Allen has kind of always been like this.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people have been saying, is that he's always like this, blah 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 blah. But I'm just like, ugh. What could they have done differently? I mean, honestly, the entire Bills team just didn't look like the Bills that we've known for the past 3 years. They all looked slow, lost, didn't really want to compete a whole ton. It was like when Rodgers went down, they lost their motivation to actually play the game.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking that there was almost this little expectation, especially from the defense, man, that they were thinking, oh, well, Rodgers is down. It's just little Zachy Wilson. We can handle him in our sleep. We did it last season. And it's the thing of, well, keep in mind, even without Aaron Rodgers, this is still a pretty strong Jets team. It's got a great running back room. It's got a great defense. And that defense was totally picking on Josh Allen last night. Josh Allen couldn't make anything happen. I mean, he almost recreated the butt fumble there.
And the crazy thing is that Sauce Gardner had one of his worst games last night.
Yeah, but other guys stepped up.
Other guys stepped up. Their premier defensive corner took a step down. Other players stepped up, but I was just like, wow.
So, you want to talk about players stepping up, though? You see that catch by Garrett Wilson?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh my gosh, yeah, look that up afterwards. Garrett Wilson, like, he literally is like, he's almost playing hot potato with the ball, and he comes down with it practically in one hand in the end zone with the defensive back smothering him.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out now. I'm surprised it didn't show up in all my highlights for the week and everything.
It's
Okay.
pretty cool. Yep. Okay, well, we've got that matchup covered. Let's talk about the 49ers versus the Steelers. You wanted to talk about this one as well. And Shane, I'm glad you did because honestly, if we're looking over in the NFC, we talked about the AFC just now and who's kind of in the driver's seat. We go over to the NFC, a lot of talk was about the Eagles. But the Eagles had to go toe to toe with the Patriots. The Patriots only lost by 5 and kind of almost felt like they gave them a scare. You talk about the Cowboys, there's definitely potential there after what they did. Packers look like they're doing all right. NFC South is probably going to be the NFC South. So really, outside of that, the most dominant-looking team coming out of Week 1 in the NFC is the San Francisco 49ers. They look as strong, if not stronger, than last year. And we've talked about it, that Brock Purdy kind of shut some haters up during that game because he was throwing well, looked good after his surgery. But you bring up this question, and I want you to answer it. Is Purdy really that good, or is it just Kyle Shanahan's system?
It is such a tough debate for me because everybody that I know is saying, oh, it's just the system. The 49ers just have a good system. They took Jimmy G to the Super Bowl where they almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs when the Chiefs had Tyreek Hill on their team. And I'm just like, yeah, that is true. But at the same time, like, Purdy looked really good. He was like one of the top 3 quarterbacks of this past week. So I'm just like, for me, I think it's still too early to say, but I definitely have my eye on him of being like he could very easily become a top 10 quarterback in this system.
I would agree, and I think that's something we may honestly see this season. Now, I want to lean, and I know I'm saying this, so it's almost kind of like a, wow, McKay, you're gonna say that, considering you love Brock Purdy so much and everything like that. But I really do want to lean more to the side right now that it is kind of more a product of Kyle Shanahan's system. It's a great system for one. You've talked about that, but number two, Shane, the players that Brock Purdy has around to work with. It's a dream, you know what I mean? On the other side of the ball, you still got Warner, you got Nick Bosa, and then with what you have on the offensive side, you got Trent Williams blocking for you, and then who do you have to throw or hand off to? Well, you got Kyle Juszczyk, who's the best fullback in the game. You got Christian McCaffrey, who's one of the best, if not the best, running back in the game right now. And then you've got solid wide receiver options, whether it's Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk. And then who else did we talk about? George Kittle. George Kittle's great too. You know what I mean?
When healthy, I will
A
say,
lot of
but
great
yes.
options.
I mean
A
that
lot
that
of great options.
I was like, it's literally just that entire team. Like you just know a ton of players' names on both sides of the ball, and you don't get that with many teams.
Yep, 100%. So I think that answers that question for now. I agree with you where you'd say let's just keep seeing what happens, but I do believe that Purdy really stepped into a great system. If he had potentially been drafted by I don't know, the Carolina Panthers, I don't know if we'd be seeing the same thing.
I doubt we would see a thing from Brock Purdy.
Yep. Okay. Well, what about Brandon Ayuk? I brought his name up earlier. We were talking about how good of a game he had. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns. Does he continue with that from last game or take a step back? Because I'll admit I have this question, not only because he's on my fantasy team, but
He's on a couple of mine too.
Yeah, I'll admit I have this question because it's a thing of well, Ayuk is doing really, really well. Does that mean that there's this chemistry between Purdy and Ayuk? You know, the 2 Arizona boys. Are they really are they starting to build that chemistry where Ayuk might kind of become the go-to guy to Purdy? I don't know. I'd like to see it.
We even talked about last week. We had Brandon Ayuk as our matchup monster, and he delivered. I will say he did way more than what I expected him to do for last week.
Oh, 100%.
I thought I was like, okay, for fantasy, I'm like, he'll get you a solid 10 points, but no, he doubled that and then some. And I'm just like, okay, that system really, really worked out well for them. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, I think that he can continue, but it may not be to the caliber of week 1.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Let's talk about the Steelers' defense. Looked weak, lost. Offense is struggling, really struggling. And that includes, say, Najee Harris even.
Yeah, Najee is, having a very, very bad game. Pickens is doing bad. Deontay Johnson's doing bad.
Yep.
Baby Hands is not doing great.
Yeah, and you were kind of saying like it seems like this team is feeling the effect of a rebuild, and we talk about a rebuild, but at the same time, the Steelers have still been having winning records throughout all of this. So how do they get back on track on offense and defense? I think the first step, at least on the defensive end, is I do think they're going to have an easier time with that because they still got T.J. Watt, and T.J. Watt did do a good job. He did force Brock Purdy to fumble.
That is true, and I mean, we even had Duckmaster, who's back from the dead and here for
Welcome back.
But
Welcome back, Duck.
He brought up the point, and I think this is a very good point to keep in mind, is that offense, we said that they were clearly struggling. 5 3-and-outs to start the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to come back and win a game when you have 5 3-and-outs to start your game. Oh,
yep.
It's not pretty and not easy to do.
No, 100%. While we get moving on here, because we have 2 other matchups to go through, Duck, just respond in the chat to me on this, because I just really want to know what your thoughts are on this. Who do you put the blame on for that, as far as why those 3-and-outs could happen? Do you blame it on Pickett? Do you blame it on Tomlin? Do you blame it on the offensive line? Curious to hear your thoughts.
I'll let you know what he says when he responds.
Okay, moving on here, we've got the Chiefs and the Lions. That's one of my first picks, which the Lions obviously won 21-20, spoiled the Chiefs banner night. Shane, the first thing that I want to talk about is Jahmyr Gibbs. I feel like Jahmyr Gibbs, he was awesome in that game.
Oh, he was so good, and I was so angry that they didn't use him.
No, and then they just kept on using David Montgomery, who, don't get me wrong, love David Montgomery, I do.
Real quick, he did respond.
Yeah, let's hear it.
He says, our offensive coordinator's play calling and Kenny having a bad day making some bad throws / reads. So, Pickett and the offensive play calling, which I would possibly agree with that.
Who's the OC? Is that Matt Canada?
Oh, man. I'll just look it up. It'll be faster that way.
Yep.
Matt Canada.
Yep, called it. That's why. Okay. Yep, Duck nailed it on the head. That's it. I forgot about that. I forgot he's... Yeah. All right. Okay, case closed. Moving on.
Anyways...
Okay. But going back to Jahmyr Gibbs, and yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I love David Montgomery, but I feel like every time they give the ball to David Montgomery, it was like, okay, 4-yard gain. There were a couple of times there they gave it to Gibbs, and it was like an 18-yard gain.
And Gibbs ran hard, and he ran fast. I was watching it, I'm like, wow, this guy is good.
He's a rookie. Give him a chance. He's got the youth behind him. The only mistake the guy made is he slipped at one point, and yes, the play that he slipped on should have been a touchdown. But
honestly, he still got a couple of yards with that.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. So how do the Lions better utilize him? I don't know, play him. Look, I know that David Montgomery is a better run blocker, but give Gibbs the chance to do the same. He can make it happen.
But I mean, at the same time, I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, this is why I hate split backfields, because what it usually turns into is that is one back getting 80% of the touches, and the other one gets maybe 3 touches in a game.
Yep, 100% agree. And the problem is we were more hoping for Gibbs. Yeah, part of that comes from Gibbs being on our fantasy teams. But come on, man. Look what he was able to do versus what Montgomery was able to do.
I mean, I have Montgomery and Gibbs on the same fantasy team right now, so...
But still, who was able to do more?
Montgomery. I had them both starting because I'm like, okay, I'm going to see which one does better because I think both of them are going to do decently.
But Montgomery did better because they played him.
Yes, that is true.
What would have happened if they had played Gibbs more?
Honestly, I think if Gibbs did not slip and got that touchdown, I think we would have seen more of him in that game.
I think you're right, because here's the thing. Another thing we're going to talk about is how does Jared Goff improve? Obviously, Goff is just a game manager. Yeah, he gets the points in, and he's got a good capability there as far as his receivers, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, for example, and Marvin Jones Jr. when he's not having butter on his fingers.
Yeah, that was like the first like dropped pass, or like it was like one of his passes was like, this is the first time that he has done this since like 20 whatever, and I'm like, wow, it's been a long time.
Well, we can't worry about that anyway, because let's be honest, Marvin Jones Jr., yeah, okay, he's dropping passes, but he wasn't the worst pass dropper out there in that game that night. Looking at you, Kadarius Toney. Looking at you, bud. Okay, but before
Oh.
that, before we go into the Chiefs, we've got the Lions. What is the potential of this team? Shane, do you think the Lions have a shot at the NFC North title? Because I think they do. I still think the Packers have a little bit of growing that they need to do under Jordan Love. The Vikings lost to the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers people thought were going to, have a shot at, an 0-17 run, first overall pick. And obviously the Bears aren't showing up.
I think the
So,
Lions are the clear front runner.
yep, 100%. Okay, moving on. Chiefs, are they in trouble till Kelsey gets back?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
He's back this week though.
Yeah. So when we talked about how good is Mahomes without Kelsey, let me say this: Mahomes is still good. He was throwing beautiful passes out there. His
Perfect
receivers just can't
passes.
catch.
Perfect
Can't catch it.
passes. And that's like the one thing that every wide receiver coach and every football coach will tell you, like from growing up and starting football: catch, then tuck.
Yep.
It
Super
looked like
Bowl.
everybody was just trying to like do everything at once, and they were just forgetting the basics at that point.
It looked like Super Bowl 55, where Mahomes was just running over there trying to find someone and couldn't get
I'm
anyone.
not gonna lie, it looked exactly like that. Mahomes just running all over the field, like trying to make everything possible work, and it's just like I could see it in Mahomes, and he's just like, I can't do this entire game by myself on offense.
Yeah. Really, just the only other thing that needs to be said: that defense needs to step up. I know they're young, but they need to step up.
Hey,
That's really the only thing I
I
have to say
think they
about the
did
Chiefs.
decent without Chris Jones there.
Yes, but they're going to get better now with Chris Jones there as the leadership behind it.
Just please be gone for another week, please.
Okay, last one we want to talk about: Cowboys and Giants.
This was rough. It was very rough. Did you die? I think McKay just died. Let me send him a message real quick. And the second I send him a message, he's gonna be like, I'm back. Anyways, I'm gonna try to fill while I am waiting for his response. Um, so first of all, we're discussing kind of the strength of the Cowboys defense, which the Cowboys won 40-0. So it's the first shutout of the season in week 1, all that good stuff, and it was kind of brutal to watch. Oh, I'm gonna send another message this time in something else. Give me 1 second. Okay, so the Cowboys defense put on a lights out game against this Giants team. The entire Giants team could do absolutely nothing. The Cowboy. Oh, okay. So McKay's internet just kind of crapped out, so we will see if he's able to get back in here pretty soon.
I'm back. That was weird.
Perfect. I was like, oh, okay.
No, my internet just straight up dropped. Like literally, I literally was asking you questions and I was like trying to goad you on to talk, and then I'm like, "Hello, Shane." And I look over and I'm like, "Oh, where'd my internet go?"
Yeah, I tried
That was
sending you
weird.
2 messages. I'm like, you died.
Yeah, that was weird. Okay, well, anyway, um, you probably lost a lot of what I was talking about there. Okay, Cowboys defense good. Do you think it was the right call to keep Dak and Tony Pollard on the field when they were so far ahead and the Giants hadn't scored?
You know, I personally am a fan of that decision because I always hate the decision of we're bringing in all of our backups to like give our stars a break, but at the same time, like if you do that, we've also seen teams that were ahead 40-0 before, and then they took their foot off the gas, and the other team came back and won it.
My biggest concern was injuries, though, especially with Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm like maybe you could have taken Pollard out, but at the same time, it's like ah.
Last question I'll say for the Cowboys: do you think they can threaten the Eagles?
I'm gonna wait to see on that one for me personally because I still don't think the Giants are that good of a team. Honestly, I think they went so far last year was because of the coaching, But now
Hmm.
everybody's able to kind of see what Brian Dable can do with this team, and it's not as
Hmm.
scary as it was last year.
For sure. Let me say this. I think the defense is real, and I think they're amazing, and I think they're going to continue to do well. But I'm going to take a quote from Stephen A. Smith where he said, "Inevitably, Dak Prescott will end up disappointing the Cowboys." No, I think it's the Eagles.
Oh boy. Okay. Anyways, let's move on to the Giants. Where I know the first question is why did everything go wrong for the Giants? And I'm just like, I'm like everything went wrong? I have no idea. What was it a fluke? I would say. Do you think was it a fluke of either last season or this game was a fluke? Because it seemed like nobody on the team could do anything.
Maybe both, honestly. I think it just kind of turned into like a giant can of worms being opened, and the Giants just didn't know what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because isn't it like a thing where it's like when it's a player's contract year, all of a sudden they start playing like 10 times better, and then once their contract is signed, they kind of take a step back a little bit again.
Well, we'll have to see because the thing is at least Saquon Barkley didn't get his money. Daniel Jones did.
Oh, he did not deserve it. He's not that good. I don't know why people think he's one of the best quarterbacks.
All right. So here's a question: do you think Brian Dable can right the ship?
Um, I think I think he might be able to. I mean, we saw what he did last season. I think it's gonna be a tough ride because I think the longer that he is coaching, the more and more people are gonna figure out what kind of plays he likes to call, how he likes to line up certain ways, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that might come in to bite him in the butt. But he's got to be able to adjust and adapt, and I think he might be one of the few coaches that is able to do that.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Okay. That's really all I really think we need to touch on that. I think the Giants just have some thinking to do, some soul searching to do, before their next matchup, just to be like, okay, was that a fluke? Did the Cowboys really just manage to capitalize off of everything we did, or are we actually that bad?
Yep. All right. Let's quickly move through our next subject of trending up and trending down.
Give me three teams. Let me you handle the trending up. Maybe I'll handle the trending down. Uh,
Ooh.
this week. Who are three teams that are trending up right now that you're thinking, yeah, they've really taken a step up here within this past week.
Honestly, I gotta say the Lions.
Yep, for sure.
Lions, I think, are one. The second one, and this might sound a little bit weird, I think the Dolphins.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
Dolphins gave really well. And as much as I hate to say it, and I would like to put another team just because it's like we went into the season thinking so little of them, but I
Hmm.
gotta put it up here. I gotta say the Cowboys.
Yeah, no, I
They
I think that's fair.
they're one of the best teams right now, and it's just hard to knock against that.
100%. Okay, trending down. I think no, first and foremost we got to put the Jets on there.
Only because of the Rodgers injury, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's the thing is they were predicted, and they're going to probably be predicted to be better than this, and it's probably not going to be the case. You
And I
know what
love
I mean?
seeing I love seeing the week one power rankings because it's like, oh, the Jets are at like number 20, and everyone's like, the Jets just beat the Bills. How are we number 20 and the Bills are like number 10 or 11? I'm just like, because you guys lost the biggest thing that you guys were counting on this season.
Oh, 100%. Let me put at number two. Speaking of which, I am gonna put the Buffalo Bills on there.
Yep, I think that's completely fair.
And now it's a fun question as far as who I could put for my third trending down. Could it be the Chiefs? Could it be the Bengals? Could it be the Giants, who were the only team that didn't score any points this week? I'm going to take a different approach. I'm going to say the Minnesota Vikings because
Oh.
I believe the Vikings were essentially predicted to at least do well, and especially win this first matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, are you kidding me? And there was a talk of, it's either the Vikings or the Lions for the NFC North. Well, I'm not so sure about that anymore. So I want to say the Vikings are more going downhill. I have to have them mentioned here. So they're going to go as my third trending down.
All right, I like it. Let's move on
Okay.
to our weekly matchups where we have Thursday night football of the Eagles versus the Vikings. Both teams struggled in week one, and the question is who's going to bounce back and come out on top?
You cover this one and I'll cover the next one. I want to kind of try and move for this fairly quickly.
Fair
So let's
enough.
just talk about our thoughts, our predictions, and who the matchup monster might be.
All right, so our thoughts are both league combined. We both have the Eagles winning. I'm saying 27-23. You're saying 31-14. I think the Eagles are just the better team on paper, and they're more likely to bounce back. The Vikings had a lot of question marks this week, and we kind of don't know where they're going. Whereas the Eagles, I think they were just what would you say? Like a little bit of a Super Bowl hungover.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of saying it.
Anyways, let's go into our matchup monster. So we know that Kenneth Gainwell is going to be out this week. So for me, that opens up who is going to step up in their running game.
You're gonna go with DeAndre Swift?
I think I might go with DeAndre Swift. It's scary because he did not do much this past week, but I think he might be the one to step up.
Okay. Give me Devontae Smith.
I like it. I think he was the number one target for this past week, so I'm okay with that.
Okay, perfect. Sunday morning football. Next up, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Baltimore Ravens. Shane, we have to have a little bit of a talk about this one because we disagree. You say the Ravens win 20-17. I say the Bengals win 24-21. My pick is that I feel like the Bengals, they're going to recognize they need to take a step up after the slog that they went through in that first game, and I think this is going to be the point where there's going to be a change. It'll be a close matchup, but I do have the Bengals coming up out on top because I think the Ravens will have to figure out a little bit with the change in their running game with J.K. Dobbins' injury and also the weird disappearance of Lamar Jackson after he got his money.
Yeah, I
Not to
mean,
mention all the Ravens, not to mention all the Raven defenders being hurt.
that's true, but as we are looking at this, both of us have them as a 3-point game difference. So I think for both of us, we're kind of saying this could be a coin flip, and it's just deciding where that coin is going to land.
I would agree with that. And for that matchup monster, it's all coming down to him. I have to go with Joe Burrow for this. If Joe Burrow is able to figure it out and actually like will his team to win, which he said he was going to do
Yeah, he
after
got
the
a
posting
haircut and
conference,
everything.
yep, it's got to come down to him.
See, I'm gonna go with Zay Flowers.
I like that pick. That's a good one.
What I think is going to be is I think Joe Burrow is going to make that step up, but the Bengals defense isn't, and that's going to be where the issue is.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good call. I think that's where the coin flip comes in.
Yep. It's going to be a question on the defense for this game.
Yep, I think that's a good point. You have the next.
All right, Seattle Seahawks versus the Detroit Lions. We are both high on the Lions right now, especially with Geno Smith being terrified of Aaron Donald, but who can blame him? I'm saying 24-17 Lions. You're saying 27-20 Lions. Honestly, the Lions are riding high. We've been talking about it a good amount tonight. I don't think we need to cover it anymore. So who is your matchup monster?
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
You know, I can't hate it, but I will say, and this is the one thing I will say on this, he wasn't even the number one receiver this past week.
No, which is why I think they're going to change it up, and they'll actually make sure they get in the ball more.
Yep, it was Josh Reynolds. And now, I hope this is the case because I want it to be the case because of how well he did. I'm going to say Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yep, good call. Like it. Don't even just like it, I love it.
All right.
Hey, we got Chicago Bears and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We
you're
both
skipping
agree.
One, but do you want me to cover the next one?
Yeah, you cover that one. I totally realized I totally missed that. Probably because when I'm looking at our draft here, I see you already have your cursor on it, so I'm thinking, oh, we've already figured it out. No, we haven't. I'll have you go with that one. I'll cover the Bears and the Buccaneers.
Perfect.
I've already started talking about it.
So we got an AFC South matchup with the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans. The Texans are just lost at this point. C.J. Stroud seems to be struggling. The whole Texans team just kind of is lost in thought right now. Whereas the Colts, Anthony Richardson, I will say, and I said this.
Bad.
I said this before the season started when we were talking fantasy with each other a lot. I'm like, if I had to pick a rookie quarterback to go into fantasy this with and who I think will be the best rookie quarterback, I would say Anthony Richardson. And so far,
remember, I was saying Anthony Richardson hasn't even a shot at Rookie of the Year. I was saying that back then. Now I'm kind of like, I don't know, because Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs are hanging around. But
yep. But I'm saying 24-6 Colts. You're saying 17-9 Colts. Matchup monster. I'm going with Anthony Richardson.
Yep, I like that pick. Let's go with that.
Honestly, I'm excited because I think this is the first battle between two rookie quarterbacks this season, and we're going to see it twice.
Yeah, you're right. I love that. Honestly, I'm hoping Michael Pittman does well, and him and Anthony Richardson form a good chemistry.
Yeah, I saw you made that trade for Michael Pittman. I'm just like, ooh, he burned us
Fingers
last
crossed.
year.
Fingers crossed. We'll see.
Ugh,
Okay.
last year hurt me.
Oh, hurt me too. Bears and Buccaneers. Excuse me. Bears and Buccaneers. We both have the Bears winning this one, although it might be close because there's a lot of question marks going as far as what's going on there, especially the fact that DJ Moore only got 2 carries. I think they're going to fix that on this one. Which let's talk about the predictions first. You say the Bears win 17-14. I say they win 21-17. Matchup monster in this game because they have to fix it. They have to use him. That's what they traded the number 1 pick for. Matchup monsters DJ Moore.
I hope that's the case. I am gonna say Khalil Herbert.
I like the pick. Although I really am getting kind of high on Roshan Johnson
I know a
as one of
lot
the
of
running
people are,
backs.
but I think Khalil Herbert is still the front man for right now.
No, I would agree because I think Donta Foreman's even in front of Roshan Johnson in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
it. So I don't know. Maybe.
All right, next up we got the Kansas City Chiefs facing off against the Jacksonville Jaguars at the bank, and this is one that we differ on. I have
Mm-hmm.
I have the Jaguars winning 27-24, redeeming their 2 losses from last year. You have the Chiefs winning 27-24. It's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a close game. Oh, I'm excited for this one. Travis Kelce's gonna be back. Chris Jones could be back, and I'll say this: Calvin Ridley. A lot of people were like, "Oh, he's not worth all this much. Like, Calvin Ridley's not that good anymore." He proved everybody wrong last week.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm very angry that you still got him in our fantasy league.
Hey man,
You
I
literally
knew he was
pick
worth.
great. You pick great before me. I'm like, okay, I don't think that he's gonna pick him in this round, so I am going to grab him in this round, and then you immediately grabbed him. I'm like, I hate you.
I was not making the same mistake that I did in my auction league. Literally, it was a thing. It was like, yeah, they got a hold of him before I could, and I was like, oh, I don't even need to bid for that just yet. You know what I mean? And everyone jumped on him.
Because everyone's like, oh, he's not worth a third to fourth round pick. He's worth like an 8 round pick. I'm like, he's not going past round 4 from
No
anybody.
way. So it sounds to me like you're saying Calvin Ridley's your matchup monster.
I mean, that team is very, very good. Trevor Lawrence has honestly all the weapons that he could potentially want. The only issue is going to be his offensive line. His offensive line is extremely banged up right now, but that defense
Mm-hmm.
held strong. They got 3 sacks last week, so I'm gonna say Calvin Ridley, but I feel like that's gonna be the easy answer. I want to see if you can give me a different, prettier pick.
And I have to go with Travis Kelsey. He's going to redeem the Chiefs.
Oh, you know what? I'm actually gonna change to the Calvin Ridley one because I don't want to be an offensive boring person. I'm gonna say Andre Cisco, the safety who has been known to take some players out.
All right, okay.
He's a hard hitter, like a hard hitter.
Oh man. All right, I'll take it. Okay, we got Packers and Falcons. We differ. You say the Falcons win 24-21. I say the Packers win 28-17. I think the Packers have a complete unit. I actually am kind of leaning more towards your score prediction though, or it might be closer than that. That being said, though, I'm still going to take the Packers in this. I think they are the more complete football team. My matchup monster for this game. Go ahead and give me. Oh,
The teams are
go ahead
bad.
and give me Romeo Dubes.
Oh, good old Romeo.
Because I don't know if Christian Watson's going to be healthy just yet.
And here's the thing: I really want to say Bijan Robinson, but I'm gonna go with Tyler Algier.
I think that's a good pick.
All right, let's move on. Raiders and Bills. Oh, hopefully the Bills can redeem themselves. That's what we both believe. I'm saying 21-18 Bills. You're saying 27-17 Bills. Who is your matchup monster?
Gabe Davis.
Wow, Gabe Davis. I will say I would want to see Dalton Kincaid in a little bit more, but I'm actually going to go with James Cook. I feel like they need to run the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, all right, I like that. Okay. Chargers and Titans. This is the last of our morning matchups. Shane, I don't think this is even a competition. The Titans are just not that good right now. It doesn't matter what you say about Derrick Henry. The Chargers have the power, even without Eckler playing, to just run over them. You say 34-10. I say 34-14 is the final score. We both pick the Chargers. Matchup monster in this game. You know what? Make it a little different this time. Go ahead and give me Mike Williams. I was going to say Keenan Allen, but
Yeah, because we don't know if Austin Eckler's gonna be healthy for this. I'm gonna say Derwin James on the defensive side.
Ooh, like that pick too. That's a good one.
All right, we got 49ers versus the LA Rams. I'm saying 27-17 49ers. You're saying 24-21 49ers, keeping it closer than what I have going. Who is your matchup monster?
Christian McCaffrey.
CMC. You know what? I want to see if he can repeat the magic. I want Brandon Ayuk.
I like it. I like it a lot. Let me make this clear though before we move on to this one. For those of you who are thinking, well, the Rams did really, really well and put up a lot of points against the Seahawks and stuff like that. Keep in mind, outside of the NFC Championship, which again, the Rams were the stronger team and the 49ers still had Jimmy Garoppolo. Outside, at least in regular season, the 49ers own the Rams, even in their own stadium. So keep that in mind for one, and remember that this 49ers team is way more complete than it has been in the past.
Yep. Let's move on to Arizona Cardinals versus the New York Giants. Oh, earlier, before the season, I would have said the Giants would have won 31-3. Now, whoo, the
Yeah.
Giants the Giants just got
Oh,
shut out, and the Cardinals were at least somewhat competitive with the Commanders. So take that what you will, but I'm saying 17-14 Giants. You're saying 23-20 Giants.
and if I have to go with a matchup monster here, someone who I want to see make a difference, Darren Waller.
Oh, he might be injured and not playing though.
Oh, you're right. That's right. I saw the Q by his name.
Yeah, it's the same injury that he had that put him on the IR with the Raiders last year.
Yep.
Ugh. You know, I think if the Giants want to win this, they have to go through their best player, which is Saquon Barkley.
Yep, I would agree. All right, Commanders and Broncos. We differ on this one. You say the Commanders win 24-21. I say the Broncos barely squeak it out 21-20.
You also skipped
Um,
another one.
I really did, didn't I? You gotta stop putting the cursor there. That's why. I'm like, oh, it's already been covered. Man. Okay. Well, let me finish up Commanders and Broncos because why the heck not?
All right.
Um, let's just make it really, really quick. I just believe the Broncos. It's a coin flip thing, but I'm gonna believe the Broncos just barely get the win on this one. Matchup monster for this one. I really just feel like I have to put the Broncos defense as a whole. They're what's gonna make it tough for Sam Howell.
Yep. I mean, I don't hate the pick because honestly, I was struggling picking a winner for this game, but honestly, I'm gonna go with Chase Young.
Is he healthy enough that he's playing? I can't even remember if he's playing or not.
I think so. Let me double check. Let me double check.
Okay, well, while you're looking at that, let's go over the New York Jets versus the Dallas Cowboys. Look, without Aaron Rodgers, we're not thinking it's going to be the greatest. You say the Cowboys win 38-13. I say they win 31-14. I think it's fair considering what the defense could do up against Zach Wilson. Now, that being said, the Jets defense is nothing to laugh at either, and Dak Prescott has a problem with that. So, might not be as high. Still taking the Cowboys on this one. Go ahead and give me CeeDee Lamb
Ooh, I'm
as the
going with
matchup
CD
monster.
Lamb. I'm gonna go with Micah Parsons.
Yeah, that's fair.
Also, I don't think Chase Young is playing, so I'm gonna go with Brian Robinson.
Okay, yeah, I don't think he is either. Okay, Dolphins and Patriots. Let's just go through this one really quickly. The Dolphins, they put up some insane numbers. They're going to win it. You say 34-21. I say 31-20. Matchup monster. And dude, who else but Tyreek Hill?
Man, he saved me in so many leads this past week.
Oh
40
my
points.
goodness.
Woo!
Who else but the Cheetah?
I mean, he got over 200 yards. He got 2 touchdowns, and he said we wanted to break 2,000 yards this season. He's already at like 246, so he's
Oh yeah.
already like a tenth of the way there.
Yep, 100%. Okay,
Man.
you get the first of the Monday Night Football matchups.
Oh wow, yeah, because there's two. We got the Carolina Panthers versus the New Orleans Saints, which is gonna be the more boring of the two, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably.
I have the Saints winning 24-10. You have the Saints winning 21-17. Who is your matchup monster?
Tyron Matthew.
I can't hate it.
Honey Badger. He's gonna be getting all of Bryce Young's throws. Gonna be tons of picks.
Oh, I want to see Chris Olave.
Hey, I like that pick too. All right, Last Monday Night Football matchup, we got the Browns and the Steelers. We both have picked the Browns to win. Same score, too, might I add. 23-20. Browns barely squeak it out. Matchup monster for this game, give me Nick Chubb.
Get that Chubb. I think I gotta agree with you on Chubb, honestly.
Yep. Okay, and with that, that is our matchups going into week 2. I think there's a lot of really good games that are going to be in there. There's a couple that I'm really looking forward to watch. I at least like to see what the Jets and Cowboys turn into. 49ers versus Rams is going to be fun. I think, Kansas City and Jacksonville, that's going to be awesome.
Oh, that one's going to be amazing to watch.
Yep. I think Bengals and Ravens will be thrilling enough. Seahawks and Lions, they had a really high-scoring game last time they played each other. Colts and Texans because of the rookie quarterbacks. There's some good ones for this week.
I'm going to say Dolphins and Patriots for the only reason I want to see what Tyreek Hill does this week.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Same reason I was saying the Cowboys and Jets. I want to see what the Cowboys defense does.
Yep. All right, let's move on to our For the Fun while we have the time.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. Okay, we're going to be discussing, and this can be tough in some of these. And if people disagree, I'm sorry, let us hear it. But who is the greatest of all time for each NFL franchise? Some teams are going to be harder than others regarding an official decision. So, Shane, we're going to kick it off. We're going to do every single team. There's a couple here. It's pretty obvious. So, first and foremost, we've already got them on here because it's so easy. The GOAT of the New England Patriots is Tom Brady. Who else is it? Drew Bledsoe? Don't think so.
No, Drew Bledsoe's the GOAT because he gave way for Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're very funny.
That's all I had to comment on that.
Right. Okay, Miami Dolphins. Shane, I got Dan Marino.
I got Dan Marino, too. I mean, you think of Dolphins, you think of Dan Marino.
Absolutely. And I'd say the same thing for the next one, which is the New York Jets. Joe Namath. Gotta go with Joe Namath.
I saw other ones for the New York Jets, but I think I agree with you on the Joe Namath one.
I feel like just at the top of them, because there's a lot of good ones for the Jets. I gotta go with Joe Namath.
I will say,
and I know we're all
the one that I had listed was Don Maynard.
Okay.
Who was basically the receiver that helped Joe Namath make his guarantee.
Yeah. Yep.
That was it, but I gotta say Joe Namath.
Awesome. And I know we're kind of going with a lot of quarterbacks here.
It's gonna change. I promise it will change.
Okay. Who do you have for the Bills?
I think I'm gonna go with Bruce Smith.
Okay. Yeah, I'd have to too, because the only other option is Jim Kelly or O.J. Simpson. Yeah, no, thank you. Let's go with Bruce Smith. I like that.
All right,
hey,
Pittsburgh Steelers. There's some good ones here.
This is a tough one. We've got a couple of names I want to throw out there: Terry Bradshaw, Jerome Bettis, Franco Harris, Troy Polamalu. What are you thinking?
Well, you also forgot Joe Green. Oh, we got Duckmaster, the definitive Steelers fan here.
Let's hear it.
He says the Steelers GOAT is tough. For him, it's between Bradshaw, Franco Harris, and Big Ben.
Big Ben is one in there too. Because
I mean, there's also Joe Green. Oh,
there is Joe Green too. Okay, hear me out, Shane. Hear me out. This is where I'm gonna make my pick. One of the greatest plays in NFL history is the Immaculate Reception. It is so iconic, and it wouldn't be iconic if it weren't for Franco Harris.
Okay.
I gotta go with Franco Harris.
I'm going with one other, and that's because he is one of my all-time favorite players, and watching him, I truly think he was one of the best players of his time.
Okay.
I'm going with Troy Polamalu.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I knew you were going with that because I know you like Troy Polamalu.
Well, it was also I even watched clips of Troy Polamalu when he was playing, and every single offensive lineman was like, he was the worst player to go up against because he knew that snap count better than the offense did half the time. So by the time the ball is getting snapped, he's already past the offensive line and at the quarterback.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point.
And I'm just like, geez, man, to be going up against Troy Polamalu was just a nightmare. Okay, Duckmaster approves of our choices, so we're in the clear.
Perfect, okay. Whew! Sheesh. Okay, Next up, we have the Baltimore Ravens. Now, Shane, I am
I
a
I have my
huge,
I have my pick
I am a,
already.
I am a huge Ed Reed fan. I love Ed Reed,
Ed Reed's
but
good.
I have to go with Ray Lewis.
Yep, I was gonna say Ray Lewis. I think is my pick. I love Ray Lewis. He was just a monster. Ed Reed. Don't get me wrong. Ed Reed, definitely for me the number two.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Cleveland Browns. Shane, this should be a no-brainer. The goat of the Cleveland Browns is Jim Brown. 100%.
Yeah,
I believe
I
it,
mean,
I believe that's non-negotiable.
I don't think it is. He is deemed as like the greatest player ever. So
Oh yeah, he's definitely up there. And especially with what he was able to do both on and off the field. Yeah,
also the irony that the Browns have a player named Jim Brown as their best player.
you're right.
I was literally just looking at that. I'm like, wow, the irony that is happening right now.
Right.
All right, let's move on
Hey,
to the Bengals. This is gonna be an interesting one.
I've got a pick, but I want to hear yours first.
That's the thing is that I was looking at so many Bengals players. And I'm just like, I feel like this is just based off of my time period and everything, and I guarantee that there are better players out there. I'm going with Chad Ochocinco.
Okay, I want to show a little love to the O line.
Yep, I know who you're going with then.
Give me Anthony Munoz.
Yep. That's why I was pretty confident going with Chad right there because Anthony Munoz was great, and I was pretty sure you were going to go there.
For sure, for sure. Okay, Kansas City Chiefs. Look, there are three players that I believe. Well, okay, I'm going to say four players that I believe are really, really up there in Chiefs franchise history. Two of them are no longer playing. Two of them still are playing. Obviously, you can guess the two who still are playing are Mahomes and Kelsey.
Yep.
The two who are not, that I think at least need to be brought up, are Len Dawson and Tony Gonzalez.
See, I have Tony Gonzalez on a different team. That's the funny thing.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's also Bobby Bell.
Mm, yeah, but I feel like most people would want to pick Mahomes
Oh yeah, that's
before.
true.
Eric
Uh,
Thomas is a good one too. I think we have to keep it safe as of right now because of what he's been able to do for the game, as far as revolutionizing the passing game and how he's been crowned as the next GOAT. We have to go with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I say Mahomes. One, I really like Mahomes, and two, he is a definition of the team right now.
Yep. Los Angeles Chargers. There's a couple of good ones here.
I
You know,
have my pick, and
you
my parents would only accept two from me.
Okay, well, I want to throw two out there who I think are honorable mentions, but are not it. Those two are Antonio Gates and Philip Rivers. But in my
Yep.
opinion, the goat of the Chargers is LT.
See, I figured you were gonna go LT, but there's one more that you're forgetting, and he was one of the
Okay,
best players ever.
who am I missing?
Junior Seau.
Oh, Seau.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, like I said, my parents would accept LT and Junior Seau. Philip Rivers and Antonio Gates are definitely the next two, but Junior Seau, what a monster of a player.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna stick with
Oh
LT,
no,
but I
keep
like the
LT.
Seau pick.
Keep LT.
Yes.
LT is a great player.
Yeah. Raiders are up next. Raiders.
Good old Raiders.
I mean, I don't want to say Jim Plunkett, but I mean he's up there. I don't know. I could go with Ken Stabler for this one. I don't know. I'm not overly familiar with the Raiders. Is part of the problem.
The thing is, I feel like with most of the Raiders, like all of their like best players were times from like almost like 80 years ago.
Like Gene Upshaw, for example.
I was gonna say Gene Upshaw is one of the best players on their team.
Well, according to Bleacher Report, that's who it would be. So you know, I'm gonna agree with Bleacher Report on that and say Gene Upshaw.
Yeah, so sorry, but the Raiders honestly like they've had good players, they just haven't had like the mold breaking players, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Broncos, John Elway. I feel like John Elway is the best answer for
John
that.
John John Elway, I think, is the answer for this. I mean,
Yeah.
there's other players like there was Von Miller, but he's still going on and
Yeah.
yada yada
Yep.
yada.
Yep. Houston Texans. Man, I gotta go with J.J. Watt, dude.
I think J.J. Watt is honestly the only person the Texans have really had.
Right, right.
Well,
I'm not going with the friggin' Deshaun Watson or even DeAndre Hopkins.
well, there's
I gotta go
also
with JJ
there's
Watt.
also Andre Johnson,
Yeah, oh yeah, you're right.
but I will
I
say
still,
the
I still gotta go
Texans
with JJ
are a
Watt.
like 20-year-old team.
Yep.
So I think J.J. Watt, he was there for so long, he did so much for them. Andre Johnson would have been the guy if J.J. Watt didn't surpass him.
Yep. I think you're right. Okay.
Tennessee Titans, and we're going off of the Titans, not when they were the Oilers, right?
You could probably count both, but honestly, for this matchup, well, we're not in that section right now. Okay, my, my brain went on autopilot there. Titans, I gotta go with Steve McNair. I just feel like he's kind of like the best option there.
Oh, Steve McNair. Okay. I definitely have somebody else, and he's actually still playing.
You gonna go with Derrick Henry?
Yeah,
Okay, I like it.
I think Henry has just been that. He's one of those mold breakers I was telling you about. Just like one of those guys that just breaks the game
Yeah,
open for the team. Steve
yeah,
McNair,
no, I
I
think
do
that's fair.
like.
Yep. Okay, you gotta handle this one because I feel like anything I say contrary wise for the Jaguars, you're gonna be like, no, shut your mouth.
Well, the funny thing is that we talked about Jaguars players before, and I'm just like, huh, you don't know many players from the history. I want to hear what one person that you would throw out there.
Fred Taylor.
I love you for that because Fred Taylor I think was gonna be one of my picks.
Okay, the only other one I was thinking of that I like, I know there's been some hype around was Maurice Jones-Drew.
I do love Mojo. There's Tony Baselli, who is the first Hall of Famer in the Jaguars team. There's Jimmy
Uh huh.
Smith. There's a whole bunch of people. Honestly, though, I think I gotta go with Fred Taylor.
Yep. Yep. Okay, this next one technically could be tough with the Indianapolis Colts. Now, here's where I say this.
There
Johnny
were some
Unitas.
good players.
Johnny Unitas is amazing. He is a great player, and I mean he was practically revolutionary back during his time. And you got even some other players that we haven't necessarily over talked about, or they don't get talked about enough right now, like Marshall Falk, who had his time there. Andrew Luck was good there for a while, and Reggie Wayne, Jeff Saturday, but but you when we think of the goodness and the abilities of the Colts, and as far as what they have been able to do, especially in modern times, you have to go with Peyton Manning.
I think Peyton Manning is one of the greatest football players to ever play. I personally think he's better
Yeah.
than Tom Brady.
Right, and see, I'd kind of make okay. I still think Tom Brady is the greatest, but sometimes I have to switch him sometimes in my mind with Joe Montana because I think Joe Montana is one of the greatest too.
See, for me, I'm like Peyton Manning because there were times where I'm like Peyton Manning didn't really have that good of a team around him, whereas I'm like Brady always had an offensive line to protect him.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's a fair point.
But
Hey,
anyways, a lot of good
Eagles.
players on Colts, and they've been around
Yeah,
forever.
for sure. We're moving over to the NFC now. Eagles. Who do you got for the Eagles?
Oh, let me see who I wrote down real quick.
I like Brian Dawkins. I like Eric Allen. I like Reggie White. Part of me wants to go with some like Norm Van Brocklin.
Oh
Back.
man, there was also Bruce Smith. Oh,
Donovan McNabb was great.
oh man, I forgot about Donovan McNabb. Honestly though, I think I gotta go with Reggie White.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I think he
Brian
was
Dawkins is another one to go with.
I think he was one of the best.
Yep. Okay, Dallas Cowboys. Look, Emmett Smith is really, really great. He holds the record when it comes to, most yards as a running back. But I gotta go with Roger Staubach.
Okay. I don't know.
That's my
Oh,
pick.
there's his name. I'm like, I don't know how to spell his name.
I gotta go with Roger Staubach. Dude was so good. He's what basically made the Cowboys. He put them on the map. I gotta go with Staubach.
Oh man, this is just so rough.
Commanders, or at least back when they were the Redskins. I really like Sean Taylor as a pick here.
Oh, Sean Taylor for sure.
Sammy Baugh is a good one too.
I'm going with Sean Taylor. I don't care.
Okay,
He
all
he
right,
has a
I'll
whole
take it.
memorial for the stadium, so
True, true. Okay, New York Giants. Could be a hot take for someone.
I
I'm not going with Eli Manning.
Thank goodness. I'm gonna slap you. Say Eli Manning. I do not
Nope.
think Eli Manning was overrated.
No, I think Eli Manning was really good, and he did
No,
bring them 2 Super Bowls.
I
But
don't care. Overrated. He won those Super Bowls with luck, and I hate the Patriots, but I will say he won those Super Bowls with luck.
okay, and there are some other good ones there too. Whether it's Phil Simms, Y.A. Tittle, those 2 other really good quarterbacks. Michael Strahan was a beast too.
Oh, I do like Michael
But
Strahan. I have one player in mind.
Lawrence Taylor.
Yep.
Lawrence Taylor.
I was gonna say if you do not say Lawrence Taylor, whew. Yeah,
Yeah.
the helmet catch. No, I don't give it to Eli. Eli got
Okay.
bailed out of bad situations with luck.
Okay, I can take it with that logic. Okay, Green Bay Packers. Hear me out here. I'm not going with Favre.
Going with Rodgers.
No, no, I'm going with Bart Starr.
Ooh. Oh
I'm
my
going with
gosh, how
Bart
did I
Starr.
forget about Bart Starr?
Because that dude, he has a legacy that goes behind that too. That I think his legacy is far greater than Rodgers or Favre. Going with Bart Starr.
I think I gotta go with the Bart Starr with you. I mean, there's a couple other players, but they're just so old. Like, literally, I have one pulled up. It's like, oh yes, this player, best season in 1942. I'm like, haha, haha. Yeah,
Yeah.
not worth talking about it for me personally.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Chicago Bears. Honestly, Shane, you could say this one for me because I think it's a no-brainer.
Walter Payton.
Walter Payton.
Yeah, I do like Walter Payton.
Mm-hmm.
I will
How about the
say,
Vikings?
I will
Oh,
say,
sorry. Go ahead.
um, I feel like he does not get talked about a lot enough, and I know that he's not like one of your guys' upper echelon players, but I really like Brian Urlacher.
Oh yeah. No, he gets talked a lot about when it comes to the Bears themselves, but I know he doesn't get talked about a ton.
Oh, what was it? Wait, was he on? No, he was the coach. Man, I'm like spacing now. I'm like Mike Ditka. I'm like
No, he did play for the Bears too. He played for them too.
I'm like I know he coached for them, and that was a fun time.
Yep, but he did play for them too. I mean, George Hallis did the same thing too.
Uh, back in the '80s Bears when they were actually good.
Yeah, tell me about it. Hey, Minnesota Vikings. Look, there are a couple of good quarterbacks to come out of this. Chris Carter is someone to talk about too, but I have to go with Randy Moss on this one.
Ooh, see, I wasn't sure you were gonna go with Moss. Vikings honestly have had a lot of really good players.
And no
Cause,
Super Bowls to account for it.
cause I was like, there's also Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, he's a good one too.
Um, although, Randy Moss is just so iconic. I think I gotta go with Moss.
Yeah. Oh, I'm dropping stuff over here. It's because I'm getting so excited to say my next pick. If you don't pick Barry Sanders for the Detroit Lions, you're wrong.
I mean, how can you not pick Barry Sanders?
Yep.
Like, it wasn't even worth me looking up other players because I'm like, oh, Barry Sanders, yeah, easy, wrap it up,
Yep.
be done.
Hey, who do you go with for the Seahawks?
Oh, I kind of want to say Marshawn Lynch.
Or Sean Alexander?
There's actually a good amount. I will say, Richard Sherman when he was a Seahawk was pretty solid for a long time.
He was. He was.
There's actually a lot of Seahawks players. I'm just like, wow.
I'll take Marshawn Lynch, honestly. I like
I'm
that one.
like, there's also Earl Thomas, which I forgot about completely,
That's right.
and he was a menace as a player.
That is true. And off the field, too.
Steve Largent, Walter Jones. Ugh. Anyways,
Okay. San Francisco 49ers. Honestly, when I first thought about this, I was like, oh yeah, Joe Montana, no problem. Wait. Have to go with Jerry Rice.
I was like, you could have also said Steve Young.
Oh, Jerry Rice.
Yeah, I think Jerry Rice is the answer.
Yep. How about the Rams? What do you think for the Rams?
Oh, good old Rams. Now
I
I'm
want to go
thinking
with
like, Rams. Who was on the Rams?
I want to go with Marshall Falk. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that's a good one, and I'm just gonna keep it with that Marshall Falk.
Yeah. Hey, how about the Arizona Cardinals? Because to be honest, like they're an older franchise, but I feel like the only player, that I
There's
think to
one player
myself
that
was like,
comes to my mind.
yeah, and it's Larry Fitzgerald. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean,
Like,
how can you not?
oh
How?
no, 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 Pat Tillman, Pat Tillman, give me Pat Tillman.
Ooh, I forgot Tillman.
I like that pick. I know necessarily like it doesn't mean he has like the most impressive stats as a football player, but I like Pat Tillman as a pick for the goat for the Cardinals.
I think what it comes down to is Tillman or Fitzgerald.
Yep, for sure, and it depends on your preference.
All right, New Orleans Saints. This one's gonna get a little interesting.
I only have one pick, but I want to hear what you have to say.
I mean, I think I only have one pick too, but it's very interesting just knowing his story. I got Drew Brees.
Yeah,
It's very interesting because he was actually a Charger and was like an on again, off again, like starter, like borderline getting cut. Then he got traded to the Saints and went on to be basically the passing yardage leader until Brady just refused to retire.
yep. Let's see, yeah, I would have to go with Drew Brees just because of what he did at the Saints more so than he did with the Chargers.
Yep.
Falcons. I think it's
Man.
kind of hard for me.
See, Falcons is where I have Antonio Gonzalez going.
Really? Okay.
That that's
I can. I feel like be more comfortable taking that one than Michael Vick.
yeah. I mean, Julio, like prime Julio. Whoo!
Yeah.
Prime Julio was one of the best.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I have
Either
one
one
pick
works.
only for the Carolina Panthers.
Luke Kuechly.
No, no, I do not have Luke Kuechly. Although I will say, being from North Carolina, people love Luke Kuechly there.
All right, let's hear it.
I got Steve Smith.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I was hoping you wouldn't say Cam Newton.
No,
Although I would have respected Greg Olson if you maybe put that out there.
Greg Olson was good. Steve Smith, personally for me, met the guy, super awesome dude in real life.
Yeah.
Luke Kuechly, also very, very good. I would not have a problem with that one either.
Yeah. All right, and
Steve
last one,
Smith was
Tampa Bay.
just so fun to watch. He
Oh
yelling
yeah.
at refs and yelling at everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and then that last one we got is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't want to have to go with Tom Brady, even though he did, help them,
I'm not
win
gonna
a
say
Super
Tom
Bowl
Brady
and
because Tom Brady to me will always be a Patriot.
Yep, for sure. I like Derek Brooks as a pick.
Yeah, I think that might be one of the best ones, honestly, out of the people that I have listed.
Yep.
I think we gotta go with Derek Brooks.
Okay, and with that, we have all of our selected goats for the group. I think some of these could be up to interpretation. Some people could disagree, but overall, I think this is a really, really good setup as far as who we think are the best. I think some of these are easy. Other of these, yeah, like I said, they could be up for debate. But I really like that. That was a lot of fun talking
Honestly,
about it. I know
there's
we
some
went a little over, but it was good.
there are some teams I was just like, wow, this team had like a lot of good choices. That's just hard to nail down.
Yep.
Other ones I'm like, okay, like New England Patriots and Tom Brady. That's going to be the one to pick for the Patriots for years and years and years to come.
Yeah, for sure. But
But
all
with
right, with
that,
that,
go ahead, take us away.
okay. And hopefully my internet doesn't drop out in the process. But with that, that's the end of our episode. Thank you for everyone who came out tonight. Obviously, this always goes up on YouTube afterwards. And yeah, this has been a lot of fun. We're really looking forward to a good upcoming week, and let's see what happens when we come back next week. Hopefully, there aren't any more crazy injuries or anything too
Oh
wild.
boy, I'm a little scared of what's gonna happen this week. I don't know if it's like certain matchups or injuries, but I like how this season has started. Very wild and unpredictable, and I kind of hope it continues.
Oh yeah, 100%. I keep saying that. I keep saying 100%, but honestly though, I agree.
Put on the Nets T-shirt, 100%.
Yeah, that's the new big quote for the fans. Oh man, hang on. Let me
Oh
with
no.
the time that
Oh
we have
no.
left. Now I need to go back and find some of our quotables. I got to put it on there. Like you saying that was abysmal. Good night and don't be a Cowboys fan.
Oh man.
Minshew is mullet Jesus. The Jags play in London more than they play in Florida.
Minshew
Um,
Magic.
yeah, don't forget Aaron Rodgers owns me. The Saints really need to bring back Bounty Gate. For my sanity, please pronounce Mahomes correctly.
Mahomes.
Oh my gosh. Taylor Heineke, you're my hero. Broncos country, let's ride. There's some good ones
Oh,
in there.
there's
All
so
right, now we can
many.
have, yep, 100%. All right,
Oh
that's it.
gosh.
That's it. That's the episode. Thanks everyone. Thanks for
Good
coming.